Good evening. Welcome to the Celtic Way post-match reaction from the Viaplay Cup, where it ended Kilmarnock 1, Celtic 0, and crushing disappointment for Celtic, crushing disappointment for Brendan Rodgers, crushing disappointment for all the Celtic supporters there. The treble's gone, Ryan, at the first time of asking. You have to credit Kilmarnock, who had a game plan, stuck to it, and came up trumps. Marley Watkins netting the second half winner. But I tell you what, if Kilmarnock had the game plan and stuck rigidly to it, somebody needs to explain to me what Celtic's game plan was today, Ryan.
Was
Because
there one?
if there was one there, then I can't fathom it out. Devoid of ideas, inspiration, you name it, all those things. Anyway, I'm Tony Haggerty at Haggerty10 on a Twitter handle, and I'm joined to dissect today's events by Ryan McGinlay at the Ryan McGinlay. And as we always do, if you like these briefings, you like these post-match reactions, subscribe to the Celtic Way website, and you can help us support top quality football journalism covering the club you love. Visit www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Right, Ryan, let's not beat about the bush. Let's get into it. Abject performance from Celtic today, utterly abysmal. There is no accounting for a display like that. Take your dumps, says the manager. You're out the first cup competition of the season. You've given up the treble already. Huge disappointment in everybody that took to the field today.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many words that you could use: abject, lethargic, devoid of ideas. I know that's a phrase, but we were very much devoid of absolutely everything in the game. Yeah, just something didn't seem right the full 90 minutes, and you don't want to put too many excuses on the pitch that they were playing on. Obviously, both sides have to play on that pitch,
Yep.
but something looked way off today. And it's hindsight's a wonderful thing when you can look back on the first three games of the season, but it's not it's not been the most glowing start, I would say, to Brendan Rodgers' return
No.
as Celtic manager in terms of performances. I think the performances have been so-so. Yes, they've won 2 games out of 3. Today was a massive disappointment, but that free-flowing football that was there last season, it doesn't seem to be there at this moment in time. It comes in spurts. It came in spurts in the first 2 games, but there was none of that in the game today, apart from maybe that one move that Home put the ball to Kyogo, which was a difficult chance, and he missed the target, but it was a really tight angle. But apart from that, I can't really think of too many other chances, apart from Kyogo's one that hit the goalkeeper. Even then, that was at a tight angle as well. Apart from those 2 chances, I can't think of any big moments in the game. So yeah, very, very disappointed. We're out of a cup. I said in the predictions before the start of the seasons that Celtic would win a double. That's all they've got to play for now, unless they do something magnificent in European competition. I'm not sure that'll happen, but yeah, very disappointing. I didn't expect us to go out of the League Cup this early, but it's happened, and you've got to take your dumps and move on. But plenty of dissection to go in this game. Just a very, very disappointing day all in for Celtic. But take nothing away from Kilmarnock. They fully deserve their win. They've had a tremendous start to the season. I'm not going to hold any grudges. I've said that to a Kilmarnock fan today. I said you were absolutely brilliant today and you deserved the win. So yeah, full credit to them.
Oh, they were well worth it. They were excellent. As I say, they had a game plan, because I was talking to my father on the way home, as I always do, and he said to me, "I don't know what I was watching today, but that wasn't Celtic." And I thought, "Yep, nailed it, spot on. That wasn't Celtic. Don't know what that was today, Ryan. I need to be sat down and spoken through what actually the game plan was, what style they were trying to play, what philosophy was today to go and get a result, because at no time in that game did I think Celtic were scoring a goal, creating an opportunity, let alone score a goal. And Matt O'Reilly also had a chance in the first half too, where he shot Taylor into the keeper's arms. Had he taken
That summed up the whole game. That performance, that chance. That was the Matt O'Reilly of last season that took that chance. Unfortunately,
the side footers that are toffee for any goalkeeper. When the 2 goals he scored, he's rattled the ball into the net with real confidence. And I thought all I should do is take another touch, take some closer to target, and rattle it. And yep, I get that. that Celtic have no divine right to win football matches. I get all that, and I will say, thought Kilmarnock were excellent. Probably Derek McGregor's due some, not Derek McGregor, Derek McInnes is due some. I was looking at Callum McGregor on the screen there. Somebody typed something. But Derek McInnes probably due some rub of the green against Celtic. It's been a long time coming for him, hasn't it? And I thought his team were excellent today, and I thought some of his younger players shone today, unlike Celtic's players. And, Odin Thiago Holm in particular was given an opportunity, but I thought he was well pleased by the Watson. Thought Watson was terrific, and and you need a lot of things to go for you. Kilmarnock took a chance when it came along, but I was screaming at Maeda to do something more, not just show him down the line and let him cross the ball across the face, because that's the risk you take. I know Taylor was off the park at that moment in time due to a flailing elbow, which I've just saw back on social media, and it's pretty poor, that, actually. I thought something more could have been done about
Armstrong
that.
gets the assist for that goal.
Yeah.
He flings an elbow. I'm not saying it was deliberate or that. I'm not going to put that on him. But what I would say is that he gets rewarded by a player being off the pitch due to his actions. So he gets an unfair advantage. But I'm not making any excuses whatsoever. But it's just a viewpoint I have on that goal in general.
Yeah, and I'm not going to meltdown like a lot of people. It was just really, really poor today. Poor fare. I think the manager was pretty crestfallen by it as well. He was pretty devastated at the end of it. I don't think he expected it either, but it just shows you how hard it is to continue to rack up trebles and win every football match. And and I'm not even going to use the pitch as an excuse, because Celtic have been playing it for long enough now. So it was just poor from everybody. I don't know if there was a player that deserved pass marks. Maybe Yang, when he came on, certainly improved Celtic going forward. And the manager said he liked the look of Yang when he came on, to which I asked him, how close was it to starting? Because he was in my starting 11, and I felt maybe he should have. But just everything about it today was, it is the proverbial bad day at the office, Ryan. We all have them. Celtic have had them 3 games in. It's a bit of a shock. It's a wake-up call. Call it what you like. Alarm bells are probably ringing with a lot of people, and so I think Celtic have got a busy 2 weeks in the window now, haven't they, to try and bring in some real quality, because I think at one point Brendan Rodgers said today that they were lacking in physicality, and once you win that battle, then you can take care of the rest. Now, I didn't see Kilmarnock's land of the giants type players, did you? Just kind of out-muscled, out-thought and out-fought Celtic. So, I
think that's a mentality thing, to be honest.
Yeah.
Rather than a physicality.
Possibly.
Kilmarnock wanted it more, and that should... Not that I'm saying it shouldn't be the case, but the Celtic players should be fired up. They're trying to retain their trophy at the end of the day that they've had for the past 2 years. They've not lost a League Cup game since, I think it was that Ross County game at Celtic Park back in December 2020. So, yeah, I don't know if it's a mentality thing. Did they not want it as much as Kilmarnock? Because Kilmarnock looked right up for it, and from the early doors, the midfield just... Something looked really, really off the midfield. I thought, again, for most of the first half, I thought Matt O'Reilly was trying to make things happen in the midfield. He was trying to get on the ball, but I wasn't that impressed with Callum McGregor, and I wasn't that impressed with Odin Holm as well. So, it's one of those ones. It's good players, but just a bad performance.
We did an instant reaction piece, which is on the website for those of you that read it. It's racked up a few hits already, but I'll put it in the links in the comments section here if you want to have a look at it, guys. There it's there. Give me a second, and you can have a read at that. That's on the website. That's myself and Ryan who do the instant reaction, and through gritted teeth, I think we did that. But Callum McGregor certainly, and Odin Thiago Holm get mentioned on that. Just Callum McGregor has started the season. I'm loath to criticise Callum McGregor at all.
I know.
But I think it's noticeable, isn't it? slipped from the high bar that he set himself the past couple of seasons.
Yeah,
And I
something's
think
not right.
there's a circuit not connecting, as I like to say, Ryan, or there's a dot not being joined, or a line missing, isn't there? And it's been noticeable in the first 3 games, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and when Callum McGregor doesn't function, Celtic don't function, do they?
Yeah, he looks. You don't want to make conclusions too early on players because they can come back and bite you in a good way with regard to their performances. He could come back and then drop a 8 or 9 out of 10, and then all is well in the world again. But he does look about half a yard off it this season, especially. And I think I've noticed that because Matt O'Reilly's been playing so well in that midfield. He's been so outstanding that I've maybe not seen as much of McGregor as I would have liked. He was dominant in Ange Postecoglou's sides. That is that Roman number 6 that would just go forward and make
Yeah.
things happen, keep things simple in some ways, but in other ways he would make things happen, get that passing going. He just looked so anonymous today and so off of it. And I think it's very, very noticeable when Callum McGregor isn't playing well, because you'd expect him to be that outstanding player, that constant 7, 8 out of 10 every single match. So when he does drop that to maybe a 4 or 5, sometimes even a 6 out of 10, it becomes very, very obvious to everyone watching that he's off his game. I'm not saying I'm not making any quick judgments and saying, oh, that's him. He's absolutely finished. He's got nothing else to give. He's just signed a new 5-year deal. He's reverting back to a system that he knew so well under Rodgers, because he's been playing a completely different role under Ange Postecoglou. Yes, he's still playing as that number 6, but he's playing in a double pivot with Foden Home or Rio Hatate or whoever is playing alongside him. So it will take time, but it is hurting the team at the moment. His lack of a grip on the game or lack of dominance is hurting Celtic, because he is one of Celtic's best players, and when he isn't playing, then the team suffers as a result, and you're just hoping he can get that sorted.
He's also pivotal to the way Celtic play and the way the manager wants Celtic to play, isn't he? So that's the kind of key for me. So if he's not in it, or he's not being effective, and also I just noticed the past 3 games that I've never seen Callum McGregor being dispossessed as much in all my life, or robbed of the ball for people coming into the side or whatever, and it's just not been part of his makeup. So yeah, you just sort of, these are all not criticisms per se, they're more observations, because it's 3 games in, Celtic have took punch in the nose, got a bloody nose for it, they're out the League Cup, you take your dumps, as you say, you move on, and lots of comments coming in about it, Ryan, so I'll read a couple of these, and we will...
Thanks everybody for joining us, by the way. I really do
yes,
appreciate that, especially at 8 o'clock. People still want to hear about what we have to say about a defeat that happened about 3-4 hours ago, so we really do appreciate that.
We do appreciate it, and that's why we will read out your comments as well, and give you your say, and we'll respond to them. So, Charlie McLernan, first up, no excuse today, Celtic were dreadful, couldn't agree more, absolutely dreadful. Big Bruce, more succinct, honking, simply honking, brilliant word that. Minging, all the above, yep. Very poor, says Gary McDowell, couldn't agree more with that as well, Gary. Paul McCann, Celtic were poor, they certainly were. Hazel Finn, how you doing, Hazel? You're a regular contributor here. They are so slow, definitely less exciting play. Yep, agree with that too.
I was trying not to say that today too, but it's very, very difficult not to say that, especially when maybe you've watched another game that happened 24 hours previously, the Tottenham game, and you see what's happening down south. It is a changing style, and yes, I think players will get used to it, and there will be better performances on the way. I'm sure of that. Look at what Brendan Rodgers did the first time, but there is a changing style, and it'll take. There's been a
template for 2 years, Ryan, and that's been kind of ripped up, hasn't it? Let's be honest. And there's an adjustment.
It's annoying too, because that template was really working quite well. Yeah.
There's a period of adjustment going on, and some players are taking longer to adjust to. And if you're going to make kind of, not excuses per se, but that's basically what's happening. Sean Bush says, very poor quality show. Only one team wanted it. We've said that. Well done to Kilmarnock. You've got to congratulate them. They wanted it. They outthought, and basically on the day outscored Celtic. And Claire Best coming in. Hello, Claire, how you doing? Look, we can't win every game. Yes, performance was bad. It was happened. Celtic supporters need to keep the faith. Why is it they go into meltdown when the team get beat? Some support want Brendan has to go get a grip. His life with these players. It will take time for the players to adapt to Brendan's style. Yes, we just need to keep calm and stay positive. It will all come good, says Claire. Yes, indeed. Yep, that was a bit of a dissertation of a comment, Claire, but thanks for that. Appreciate it. Even had Ryan's face in the process.
We could have used that in an instant analysis this afternoon.
Could,
honestly,
Claire,
that would have got up the
where were you when we needed you, Claire, earlier on? We could have been doing with that. Yep, indeed. Gary McDowell says O'Reilly threw in goal after a great brawl from Kyogo. He has to score that. Spoke about that, Gary. Thought he could have took another touch, put the laces through it instead of the dabbity that he hit back to the goalkeeper.
I don't know why, but I wasn't confident. I wasn't confident when he was throwing goal because I knew, and I said this to my dad who I was watching the game with this afternoon. I said he's had too much time on the ball there to think about what he has to do. He's better when it's instinctive coming towards him like that, like the Aberdeen goal. Yeah. When he knew the ball was coming towards him, he had a split second to decide where he's going to place his shot, whereas he had that 3 or 4 seconds to roam into the box and then take a shot. And again, he's trying that perfectionist look, isn't he? That perfectionist sort of goal, and it's caught him out in the end.
345 people joining us. Thanks very much. I'll just scroll through some more of your comments, guys. Give you your say as well. Love it. Says he's just seen the Haksabanovic penalty call from behind the goal. He says it looks like a Stonewall penalty. Ryan, I've seen it 2 or 3 times. I'm still pretty undecided. You either get it or you don't. Celtic didn't. So, what's your thoughts? Are you totally convinced that it was a penalty?
I've not seen it back since it happened, and it all happened at a point where I was still trying to get everything sorted for the website, so I haven't seen it. I heard there was shouts, and I heard that Derek McInnes was a bit nervous after the game because he thought that maybe it was a penalty. But, you get to that point where it looked a bit desperate, and Celtic... It's bad too because when Kilmarnock scored, and I know there was a fair amount of time before the game was finished, but I almost resigned myself to defeat, and it's terrible. I shouldn't be thinking like that, but I wanted Celtic to sort of prove me wrong and show that they had the fight back to get back in the game. Momentum can change off the back of one goal, and if they were to get one goal, then who knows what could have happened in extra time. Kilmarnock put a lot into their defending and their pressing, put another half an hour on there, maybe get a couple more subs onto the pitch. Anything could have happened, but it was all about getting that breakthrough, and it never did come for Celtic. And so, I was pretty resigned to it for a good 10 minutes, unfortunately, which is never what you want to feel like, but that's just the way I was.
Yeah. Gary McDowell saying Yang has to score with that chance 6 yard out and not hitting the target. I thought he should have done better with that. It was deflected away for a corner. Bob the Minecrafter saying no one looked inspired, no urgency. Everyone was standing still. Brendan Rodgers did nothing from the side. They better get better soon. I tell you what, I did think, Ryan, that I actually thought that a lot of Celtic players, there was a lack of leadership there. I think a lot of the players were looking to others to provide that inspiration, to provide that creativity, to provide that spark. And it was a question of, well, hopefully Callum McGregor will do it. Hopefully Matt O'Reilly will do it. Hopefully Kyogo can dig us out of a hole. And they were just looking around at each other and not really wanting to take that responsibility and go and making it happen. For the first time in a long time, I saw no leaders there today to take control of that situation and say, wait a second, give me the ball. Let's get ourselves back into this game. Don't panic. But nobody seemed to be able to contrive that bit of magic or chance or conjure up something that could split that defence open. And that's what disappointed me most, Ryan, that Celtic have some quality and gifted players, but nobody stepped up to the plate when you really, really needed it most. These are the ones where you turn around, you look back in the season and say, remember, they nearly get knocked out of the cup at Rugby Park, but such and such did this. Nobody stepped up to the plate today, which is why they got knocked out of the cup at Rugby Park, because nobody was willing to take responsibility and grab that game by the scruff of the neck when you were heading out, basically.
Yeah, I think regardless if you have a good or a bad game, as Callum McGregor did have a bad game today, Taylor had another poor game at left back. I don't think he's had a good game at left back this season, in pre-season or when the season started. I thought Ralston was quite poor as well. I can't really blame the two centre backs too much because it was their first game together and it was Lagerbielke's first game as well. I thought they looked okay in the first half. Second half, I don't know how much fault they had for the goal, but yeah, I think the leaders on the pitch, you would earmark them as Joe Hart, Greg Taylor, Callum McGregor, Matt O'Reilly probably as well. See, when a number of them didn't have a good game, even if they didn't have a good game, then they've still got to be leaders on the park and got to pull themselves out of that sort of a rut that they were in, and they never did it, and the team struggled as a result of that. I think a lot of players do look to Callum McGregor as the driving force in the team. So when he doesn't have a good game, which is a very, very rare occurrence because he always seems to have good games for Celtic, then the team looks a bit lost as a result of it. I don't know what that means with regard. Do you need to bring more leaders into the team, such as older players, older signings? Does not every player have to be a project signing? I don't know, but I think it's been made pretty clear from Brendan Rodgers from his post-match interviews. He's made the point twice that quality needs to come through the door because quality has left the club. I'm guessing he's meaning Aaron Moy and Jota. Those are the two big players that have left the club. They were first-team players. You need to replace them. You need to replace their output, both in goals and goal involvement. So, yeah, it's very much a watch this space for the remaining sort of 10, 11, 12 days in the transfer window. But the manager's made it very clear that there needs to be signings of quality coming in these next few weeks. So let's see if the board match that ambition from the manager.
Yes, I totally agree. I agree that Celtic need to step up to the plate in terms of the recruitment in the remaining days of the window, and they need to bring in oven-ready players. Lots of people saying they're dreading the Champions League. You don't want to go too overboard because it is one game, and it's only the third game of the season. But it is a kind of stark reminder that you can't just turn up and think, you'll win every football match. But I'm not going to go off my head, but I was bitterly disappointed today in the performance because I saw nothing there today that, moving forward would fill you with any real kind of confidence. It has to change. They do have to get better. Better players have to be brought in the remaining days that are left in the window. But today they were just bereft of ideas. That's what got to me most. There was such a lack of cohesion and a spark, and I think you said there was just no fluidity there, was there? They were so disjointed and nothing there. Nothing.
I think the thing that annoys me the most, though, is that this isn't pre-season anymore. We are 3 games into the season, and Brendan Rodgers is talking about needing quality. We needed quality yesterday, never mind in the next 10 days. Jota's been out of the club. He's been in Saudi Arabia, a month now? We've known that. Celtic have known that, and they need a replacement. I talk about it all the time on the morning briefings, double digits in goals and assists in his 2 seasons at the club. You need to replace that somehow. Daisen Maeda won't get those numbers, or it'll take a lot more appearances for him to get those numbers in terms of an accumulation. So you need somebody that's going to be guaranteeing those numbers, maybe getting 20 goals a season and 10 assists. Somebody, because you want to, as they always say, as the Celtic board and that say, you want to be stronger coming out of the window than you were when you came in. At the moment, Celtic are weaker, I would say, despite bringing in players, because Jota went for £25 million. When you take that out of the team, you need to bring in somebody that's going to replace him and consolidate those numbers and keep those numbers going, because I don't think they're going to be coming from anywhere else. As good as Maeda is, it'll be a hard ask to sort of get into Jota's shoes. It's a different level of player, a different winger, I would say. So there needs to be somebody that comes through the door, and it's actually beginning to annoy me that it hasn't happened already. I know they're taking their time to get the best possible person in, but this should have been sorted by now. Celtic are a big team. They need to start acting like a big club in terms of replacing their good players. I know they have done that in the past in different positions, and I know they might have been surprised by Jota leaving to go to Saudi Arabia, as have a lot of teams with players going to Saudi Arabia, just like that, just as quick as that. But yeah, Jota needs replaced, basically, long story short, and he's not been replaced yet. And we're playing competitive games. The Champions League is just around the corner.
Yeah.
Open the purse strings and get a good player in. As good as Yang is, he's still a project signing. I'd much rather bring in somebody that's going to hit the ground running straight away.
Yep. Anne-Marie Wilson comes in and says, Ryan, it's not one game. Celtic haven't played great from the start of the season, although they have won 2 games. I think that's a fair point we've made. I'm making it the fact that it's one game in terms of losing. The fact that they haven't played well has been masked by the fact that they've still got results. And whilst a lot of people were willing to put up with the fact that they've still got results, even though the performance wasn't great, they always thought, well, there's room for improvement. They can get better. They're going to have to get better now. There's no two ways about it. That's the bottom line. So I take that on board, Anne-Marie, but I was talking about in terms of the fact that, it's not been a stellar start to the season. Let's put it that way. It's been pretty poor, but that today was different gravy in terms of poor performances. It was poor.
We get caught out today. That's the difference. We get punished for it.
Yeah, and they didn't get punished against Ross County and didn't get punished against Aberdeen. They still had enough within them to win the matches, both those matches, because their quality shone through in the end, which their quality should have shone through today in the end, but they didn't have the answers today. So that's why I was saying it's kind of one game where they've lost, but it's a significant defeat being inflicted on them because they've lost one of their trophies that they won last season.
It's a knockout tie at the end of the day.
Yeah, and
it gets decided on the day.
We spoke on Friday. It was all about having your name in the hat for the draw, and Celtic aren't there, and that's its hardest to take because if you lose 3 points in the league, you can always catch them up, can't you? You can always get them back the following week or in weeks to come. No second chances in cup competitions, but to turn in that display today is the poorest for me. And I agree they haven't hit the ground running, Anne-Marie, since the start of the season, but they still have 1-2 games with the kind of promise of the manager saying, they're going to get better, but they weren't better today. They were dreadful today. And
regressed again.
Yeah, regressed. Yeah, very much so. And I think, a lot of alarm bells are ringing with Celtic supporters. I'm not pushing panic buttons just yet, but I think in terms of the window has to be a priority now in getting in quality, experienced players. And the manager mentioned physicality today. If that's the case, then I think you have to match up. And you know my thoughts on that, Ryan. I've been banging on about it for ages. We need some physicality in that midfield as well. We've got it at the back of the pack, but we need it in the midfield too. And I've been saying it for long and weary. A Victor Wanyama type. We had 3 footballers today on the park against Kilmarnock in the midfield, McGregor, O'Reilly and Home. And whilst that was all well and good, I think maybe we need to go match up with teams that are willing to nullify your footballers, which Kilmarnock did today, by hook or by crook, in whatever way, in whatever means possible. That's the bottom line. That's what you do. You set out teams to maybe spoil or stop your footballers from playing. And if that's what happens, then you need to get somebody in there who is adept at being able to switch it up a bit as well and go toe-to-toe with these teams. So if the manager's mentioning that, then I'm hoping that that's something that he bears in mind in these days and weeks that are going to pass before the window's shut. Yes, there's something we do agree on, Anne-Marie. Excellent. We definitely need a hard man. Excellent. Thank you for that, Anne-Marie.
What I would say, though,
is eye on that.
Yeah, if you do bring a midfielder in, and I do agree, we do need a physical midfielder in, but is that not the job of Iwata and Kwon to do that job? If that's the case, then why were they not fancied today? Especially Iwata, who knows he can put himself about. He was the MVP in Japan for that season. All of a sudden, he's been sort of taken out the team. He's not really getting any game time. If you're needing like a destroyer number 6, now it remains to be seen whether he can actually play that role to the standards that Celtic need with regard to a destroyer, both domestically and in Europe. But that's his role. Callum McGregor isn't a destroyer, yet he's playing in the number 6 role. Either you push Callum McGregor further up the park, or you don't play him in that game because it doesn't suit him. Well, because he's the captain doesn't mean he needs to play every game. In the predicted lineups, I didn't put Callum McGregor in the team because I thought it was a good chance to rotate. But I just think that Celtic need to watch Callum McGregor's games. 60 games is just not viable. And you play more physical players against more physical teams. Yes, Callum McGregor is technically an absolutely fabulous footballer, especially at home and especially away against teams that aren't as physical. But in terms of physical games, he did get lost today, and you do need a wee bit of physicality in the midfield. That's why somebody like Kwon or Iwata could have came in and I think did a job, or they could have done a job, but it remains to be seen if they're even fancied by the manager at this point, especially in Iwata.
Paul McCann, physicality and height required. I've been saying it for long and weary. Indeed, I think that's exactly what we need. Gary Thompson, they were dreadful. Easy, Tony. The ball spent more time in the air than it did in the park. No surprise with the result. Kilmarnock were dreadful, were they? I just think they had a game plan to nullify Celtic's footballers. Oh, Celtic, is it? I don't know. Michael, you can come back in and let me know who was dreadful, Gary. Are you talking about Celtic or Kilmarnock? Did I say the Celtic were dreadful? I thought Celtic were dreadful, to be honest. I thought they were abject.
I think that's been nice.
Pretty abysmal, and I'm being as nice as I can. Yeah, and Gary, I watched the same game play out on the opening day of the season when Kilmarnock turned Rangers over, so it was a kind of similar type game, and they took their chance when they got it. And I think you can't say, oh, we need stronger tests to help us, shape up to teams in Europe, and then when teams come along and give you a bloody nose, you can't complain and say, oh, well, that's not meant to happen. It did happen. Somebody saying, Gary saying, yeah, you said that. I thought Celtic were dreadful, Gary. I'm no. If you disagree, come back in and tell me why you didn't think Celtic weren't dreadful, but I thought Celtic were pretty poor today, abysmal, pretty abject, could still be playing just now and wouldn't have scored. So they got what they deserved from the game today, Gary. I don't really particularly watch the opposition per se, but I just thought they nullified every big game player that Celtic had, every bit of quality. They just blunted it by whatever means possible, and they did it to good effect because they've knocked Celtic out the cup. So I think you have to turn in at some point and say, be a bit magnanimous about it. Say Kilmarnock did their job and had some sort of game plan. I struggle to see what Celtic's was today, which is why I said Celtic were dreadful, because they were. They're out the cup. So there you go. They weren't out the cup because they would come up against an inspired goalkeeper or miss sitters galore. They didn't.
I can't really think of a big save that their goalkeeper did make, apart from the routine ones in the first half. They didn't test their goalkeeper. Now I can deal with Celtic winning. I can deal with Celtic. Of course, I can deal with Celtic winning. That's a slip of the tongue. I can deal with Celtic losing if they've just been unlucky in front of goal. They've put away their goalkeeper. The opposition goalkeeper has put in an absolute masterclass in keeping the ball out of his own net. But Celtic it was an easy day at the office for their goalkeeper. He didn't have to deal with much. And that just should never be the case. It's the talent that Celtic have on the park should be making more opportunities. And I don't know what that's down. I don't know what the problem was or what that was down to, that wasn't the case today, but it just didn't happen.
Yeah, without a doubt. Robert Hedgebeast comes in and says Celtic need to stop getting bullied. We need a hard man. Well, that's what we've been talking about, some physicality. The manager mentioned the word physicality in the midfield, and I've been talking about a physical midfielder for long and weary. If you listen, or you're a regular listen to the briefings, Ryan will tell you how long have I been talking about that, Ryan?
Since I've been here. I can't speak of before I was on the Celtic way, but I know that you've been pretty consistent with that view since I've been here. So I like consistency. I like consistency at Celtic, but I also like consistency and like opinions and that as well. So yeah, I've been consistent with that for months, and I do agree that Celtic do need physicality there, whether that be somebody coming off the bench in terms of making that position their own, in terms of Kwon or Iwata, or getting somebody new in altogether that can play that role. We've talked about it for months. I think I think it's a must. It's a must even in games away from home and in Scotland, I would say as well, because it helps out the defence. It helps them put out fires before the ball even gets to them or gets near them. So I do think a number 6 is needed. And whether that means Callum McGregor gets pushed further up or he takes a back seat in those games, then I guess that's up to Brendan Rodgers to decide. But I think in terms of those games, yeah, McGregor looked like a not a lost cause, but he looked lost out there.
Yep. And Anne-Marie Wilson comes back in, and this is something I actually agree with as well. A physical striker as well, someone like Big John Hartson, I believe she's talking about there. I don't think that would go amiss either up top. Merrill Wyatt. Squad looks in disarray with all the comings and goings, not to mention changing the style of play. We spoke about that at the top, that the template that they've had for the past 2 years has kind of been ripped up, and there's been various tweaks added to it, and it will take time for Brendan's Rodgers Mark II Celtic to come to the fore. Today was just a real disappointment and a jolt sideways and a bolt from the blue, which I don't think anybody's seen coming, and probably should have seen it coming because they haven't started the season greatly, and and didn't have the gumption to break down stubborn Kilmarnock team, which frightens me a bit, Ryan. You know,
What really annoys me, and well, it doesn't annoy me, I wouldn't go as far to say that, it irks me just now, is the fact that Brendan Rodgers coming back to Celtic, you know, Ange Postecoglou, I don't want to mention the previous manager too much because it's Brendan Rodgers' team now. He's inherited this team. It's his team. He puts that out. We all spoke about how the fact that Ange Postecoglou didn't really have a plan B. Plan B was to do plan A better. But we all spoke about Brendan Rodgers being this manager that could change things halfway through a game in order to turn the tie on its head or to get extra time or to get a late winner or whatever. I didn't see that today whatsoever. I just seen, I don't know. I just seen.
I seen a team
continue to do that.
Yeah, I seen a team huffing and puffing, Ryan, basically, and not even looking
Not
like
blowing any house
blowing
down.
the door in. Aye, blowing the house down or blowing the door in, exactly. And but continuing to do the same thing, you know. And David Hanna comes in and says, "If it isn't broken, then why fix it? Why tear up a treble-winning template?" Yeah, I know that's a kind of. And then Jason Lee, in response to this, says managers have ego. They all want to run their own system. That's exactly it. He wants to play with his own team. And Hazel Finn coming in saying, to be fair, she looked at the team selection and thought, that'll do. How wrong can you be? That's why she's confused. Yeah. And I think everybody's confused because they expect better from that team of players. That group of players. That team is capable of beating Kilmarnock, but they didn't. And so Brendan Rodgers says it'll take 24 hours to get over it and then get back to work. Got to go to work now because they're out one cup competition already. Lots of work to do in the remaining days of the transfer window. Some quality has to be added to the ranks. And yeah, I get that players are adapting to a new system and it's maybe taking a wee bit of time. We always knew that. But I think today is just a wee kind of wake-up call, isn't it? That, you know, you have to earn the right to beat teams. And, you know, Colin Strickland coming in, a man after my own heart today. Exactly, Colin, I said it earlier. What system? You know, my father said that, you know, whatever that was, it wasn't Celtic that you were watching today. And I think that's a fair way of summing up. I just didn't look like a Celtic team, did it today? There was no cohesion there, no fluidity, no fluency, nothing. Too many passes went astray. It's all right, you can blame the surface, but I'm just talking normal stuff. I mean, I get that Lagerbielke was just in the team, but the first thing he did was pass the ball out the park for a corner to Kilmarnock.
Never good.
You're just like, oh wow. And you think to yourself, and that kind of set the kind of template for the day. It was just really stop-start, misplaced passes, error-strewn football match. And, you know, Celtic got no rhythm at all in the game. So I really do hope that the manager has the answers. He seems to think that he does. And moving forward, we will see what happens. But he has got work to do. If he said at the start when he first came in, let's get to work, he has to get to work in the remaining days of the window. And lots of people coming in comments and also saying we mentioned it off air about Taylor and Ralston not exactly covering themselves in glory again today, Ryan. They were very poor as well, weren't they?
They were very poor. I think there needs to be. It's good that that Alistair Johnson is back in training, and he looks to be getting back to full fitness so that he can take up one of those positions. But left back's a position that needs to get improved upon very, very quickly. It's Bernabei's not challenging at this moment in time, and Taylor's just really, really struggling. It's actually quite painful to watch him in this team at the moment, because as a traditional left back, he just doesn't seem to be up to the task. And I know that he played under Steve Clarke as a traditional left back for Kilmarnock on that pitch, so really he's got no excuse. That's where he made his name, at Kilmarnock, before coming to Celtic. But he just looked lost out there, like with Callum McGregor. I hate saying that they looked lost, but that really was the case today. He's had a really, really bad start to the season. I don't know what that means. Do you bring in a makeshift left back, somebody proven that can do the job for a season, while you continue to scout for a younger left back to come in and take his place, or do you continue to persist? I think a left back does need to get brought in at the end of the day. It's a position that really needs looked at.
Jerry Smith's with you on that. Got to bring back Kieran Tierney, even if it means on loan, and some complimentary for us, Ryan. David Hanna coming in. Great commentary from you guys as ever. That's very kind, David. 472 people watching us live at the minute. Thank you for joining us. I know it's not the best one to be speaking about, but we have to have the post-mortem. We joke about having happy Mondays and all that. We've had an unhappy Sunday, but you've got to confront it. You've got to do it. We see it as kind of therapeutic and cathartic, Ryan, when we have these post-mortems, and it's very rarely that we've had to do it the past couple of years. So, Kilmarnock won, Celtic now. Celtic are out of the Viaplay Cup, the League Cup, which they won last season as part of the domestic treble. There'll be no domestic treble this year. So Stephen Fox saying KT is done. Stop going backwards, guys.
That's don't agree with that.
Fair enough. And Paul McCann saying AJ could take a bit of time to get up to speed. Of course he could. Tony Daly, lads, onwards and upwards. Yes, indeed, onwards and upwards. It's all you can do. You have to, as the manager said, I think his expression wasn't. It's an expression I'm quite fond of as well, Ryan. Take your dumps. You have to take your dumps on days like this. You can't do anything about it. You come on here and you try and put a brave face on it. Of course, we're all naturally disappointed, but you have to temper it with some realism as well. And it's all very well that you can go in studs up. It's the easiest thing in the world to do, isn't it, Ryan? But I think everybody is bitterly disappointed just with the fear that was on display today. So yeah, we sit here and we're absolutely sick at the fact that Celtic have exited the Viaplay League Cup. I'm sure the manager will be sicker than us and the players, and they'll want to remedy that as quickly as possible and get some kind of groove, because they've not hit any kind of groove yet since the season started. They won fair enough against Ross County and Aberdeen without hitting any great heights. Got a wee reality check today, didn't they? With a team that was just up for it, and they
wanted it more.
They wanted it, yeah. And to lose to a hungrier Kilmarnock team this early in the season is not ideal, shall we say that? Lots of words I could use, but we'll just say not ideal. But plenty of time to get it sorted for the most important trophy, which is the league. I've always said that. I always said Brendan Rodgers wasn't coming back to just win the League Cup. Yeah, he was coming back to win the title and continue this era of dominance, hopefully. But I just try and not be knee-jerk and overreact, but there was a lot of stuff today, Ryan, that just wasn't pleasing at all.
No, I would agree with that. Plenty Plenty to look at over the next couple of days, I would say, in terms of things that Celtic need to improve on. I'm sure they'll have meetings regarding all the areas in which they can improve on, both on the pitch and off the pitch, in terms of recruitment. So yeah, a busy couple of weeks ahead in terms of dissecting this game, but it's not as if you can do it. Not as if you can turn it around next week in the league. You know, you're out of a cup.
Yeah.
Celtic are going to have now a couple of, or quite a few free weekends whenever these two play, or whenever the teams play, or midweek games, which in some ways can be a positive because I guess they get more time on the training pitch to get ingrained or get back ingrained into Brendan Rodgers' ideas. But it's very, very disappointing, and yeah, just a very poor day at the office, I would say.
Tell you, I did feel sorry for Ryan, the supporters who filled that stand at the back of the goal and who gave them their backing from start to finish and forked out their hard earned. I think, the old song says watching Glasgow Celtic putting on a show, and they usually do, but there is the odd occasion where they don't put on a show, and that was one of those days, wasn't it? Celtic just failed to put on a show for the supporters today, and I felt for those guys who'd come down as well, and who put on their own show and gave them the backing, but it just wasn't. It just wasn't to be Celtic's day in transit. Great word that, Tony. Gumption, love it. It's a brilliant word, isn't it? Celtic just didn't have the gumption today, did they, to break down that stubborn Kilmarnock defence and stubborn way they played, and then when they got their noses in front, they had something to hold on to. So we said it, Ryan. We tip our hat to them and say congratulations to them. They have done a number on Celtic today, so you have to just doff the cap to that and lick your wounds and move on, take your dumps, and hopefully this can rechannel everybody's energy and focus into what is important, and that's retaining that league title.
Yeah, and they'll have 6 days to sort of mull it over and then replay it over in their head. I'm sure they'll be watching analytical videos of what they can do better, as I mentioned previously. But it's on to the next game already. Yes, they'll be sore just now, but going into next week, I'm expecting a fight back from Celtic, especially coming back at home. It feels as if Celtic haven't been at home in absolutely ages, just due to the scheduling of fixtures. But I do expect a response from Celtic, and maybe a more favourable tie against St Johnstone, you could say, but it's a home game. You'd expect Celtic to win. So, yeah, hopefully a better performance next time. I just want to see a good performance, a good 90-minute performance. That's and a clean sheet as well. I've not seen one of those this season.
That'd be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I know the previous manager preferred high-scoring games, but I'm sure Brendan Rodgers likes his clean sheets. So, yeah, I would like to keep the ball out the back of the net if we can.
And with Frank Green on this, he's a bit more philosophical. Sometimes you have to feel the rain before the sun shines, eh? There you go. I like that, Frank.
Poetic.
Very much so. But guys, that's about 470 odd people joining us. We thank you for your time, and we try and, as I say, read as many comments as we can, because your thoughts are valued too, because we've built a wee cracking community on the Celtic Way website here in this Celtic Way briefing. If you tune in the morning, we know that we like to do that, and we don't just talk into a vacuum. We give you your say as well. It's just difficult on days like this to enthuse about anything, because there was nothing to enthuse me today, and I think that's what's annoyed me more than anything. The one thing that maybe enthused me was Yang. He did well when he came on. Just wish he had started. But yeah, we have to take the rough with the smooth, don't we, guys? Kilmarnock 1, Celtic 0. Celtic out the Viaplay Cup, League Cup in old money. I'll always call it the League Cup, Ryan. Celtic are out the League Cup, and bitter disappointing it is as well. We've not sugarcoated it. We have used words like abject and rotten and abysmal, disjointed, lack of cohesion, fluency, no rhythm. So yeah, we've all we we have to kind of address these things as they come along. Too early to be worried, Ryan. Other people are giving it alarm bells ringing and all that kind of stuff. I'll give the benefit of the doubt to the manager and the players still learning a new system, but it can't continue like this. They have to get better, don't they? And it has to
They have
start
to, and they will.
next game. Yeah, and they will.
Yeah.
Of course they will, yeah. Always disappointing to lose, even more disappointing to go out of a cup competition. But I think the focus now has to be on the remaining days of the transfer window, and Celtic really need to, as the manager said, get to work, don't they?
Yep, that's the tagline, and both on and off the pitch, Celtic need to get to work in order to get to where they need to be, both domestically and in the European front. This trophy's gone, but you know, from tomorrow onwards, we're not going to talk about it. It's all about the league and the Scottish Cup and in the Champions League as well. We shouldn't be dreading the Champions League. We should be looking forward to the Champions League when it comes around. But you know,
never dread
you know,
the Champions League ever. It's wonderful to be there, and I want to see Celtic having a rip at it and pitting their wits against the best. And you know that the performance will be different. It'll be a different mindset when they go in against the best that European football has to offer. Today's loss can be explained. They were just poor. They just didn't turn up. So, you can push panic buttons. You can let alarm bells go off in your head. You can, as I say, go in studs up. But I just think it's far too early for that. It's a crushing disappointment. Of course it is, but you move on. The manager said 24 hours and then get out of your system and concentrate on the rest. And still a lot can happen in the window that can bring in game changers, those match winners that Celtic desperately need to come into that team. And that Celtic lost to a team that wanted it more today. They were hungrier and they were confident after disposing of Rangers in their opening game. So, and if Kilmarnock can't have a go at Celtic in the opening games of the season, I always say that there's never a better time to play Celtic or Rangers, because that's the chance when you can claim their scalp when it's early. New players are gelling, and especially a new manager's a new system. So, yep, I think certain conditions need to be ripe, and that's what happened today. Everything that could have happened for Kilmarnock did happen for Kilmarnock, and Celtic had to have an off day along the way, and that's exactly what happened. You can be gutted, you can be upset, but hey, there's always the next football match, isn't there, Ryan?
There always is. Yeah, it's a disappointing result to take, but these things happen. You just need to move on quickly. It's disappointing, yes, but it's a long season. It's disappointing. The result is not the one that Celtic would have wanted, but at the same time, they've got an opportunity to learn and get better because of it. So I'm going to try and take whatever positives. I know there isn't many, but the only way is up.
Indeed. Guys, that's just been short of 55 minutes. I was going to say waxing lyrical, but we've not been waxing lyrical, have we? We've been pouring over...
getting the lyrics wrong.
Yeah, raking over the coals of something that we didn't particularly want to do. But yeah, Celtic are out of the League Cup. Just have to get that through our heads and wake up tomorrow and hopefully it'll be out of our system. But we thank you so much for joining us. We thank you for putting your comments in the comment section. We try and read them out as we say. I know it's not been one that we particularly enjoyed, but we've got to do it. What the song says, Ryan, we don't care if we win, lose or draw. Today we lost. We had to meet it head on.
That song's out of date. I do care if we lose.
yeah, exactly. We've had this discussion before. We do care if we win, lose or draw, but
it doesn't have the same ring to
it. Correct. So we had to come on and address it. I was going to say I hope you've enjoyed it, but probably enjoy is not the best word. But hopefully you've got something, endured it, and you've got something off your chest as well, guys. It's never easy. These ones are never easy. Prefer the happy Mondays, don't we? But there you go. Love it. Cheers, lads. Great show. Frank Green walk on. Ever the philosopher is Frank Green. That your dog, Ryan, is it?
It's always one of our dogs, isn't it? It's one
Correct.
of the two. She's not taking the result well. So
we've got 5 dogs between us, haven't we? So it's she's always going to be somebody barking. And if you want to say it, Celtic were barking today, weren't they? Let's be honest. But there you go. Jason Lee, it was cathartic. And Alan Woods backing you up. I care if we lose or draw. Exactly. Correct, Alan. We'll say we need to maybe rewrite the lyrics on that one, but boys on tour. Onwards and upwards. Indeed. There you go. But guys, thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Now, it's always a difficult one when Celtic lose. But hey, you try and dissect it as openly and honestly and as best you can. We will see you tomorrow. I think you're off tomorrow, Ryan, are you? You've had a busy day, so you're going to lie down in a darkened room, aren't you, and just sleep it off?
Yeah, I'll just sweat it out. I'll sweat it out tomorrow. Yeah. I'll be back fresh on Tuesday.
Yeah, Frank Green, great show, boys. Thank you, Frank. Really appreciate it. Gary, how you doing, fella? Good to talk to you, sir, and well done tonight. Cheers. Appreciate that. Plunge McNugget, get behind the boys in green, folks. Positivity, not negativity. Yeah, we try and do that. Plunge a lot, but I think there was scope for some negativity tonight because the performance wasn't great, was it? Let's be honest. But there you go. Ryan, I shall probably see you on Tuesday then, yeah? But you enjoy your day off, sir. Thank you for joining me. And if you've enjoyed this, as the start line says at the bottom, guys, you know what we're going to say. We ask you to do it every day, but you help us keep producing these shows. Subscribe to the Celtic Way website and support top quality journalism covering the club you love. And if you enjoy this, then hit that subscribe button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Stephen Lemon, thank you very much. Appreciate that. John Fagan, thank you so much. Excellent. Appreciate it as well. And Frank Green, honestly, he's never a fault. It's a beautiful thing. Frank the Philosopher Green, I'm going to call him. You know what I mean? He's the man. We like Frank. Top man. Take care, guys. Myself and Aidan will be back to do it all again tomorrow. Try and be a wee bit more positive if I can. I'll sleep on it as well, Ryan. See if I've been see if the picture's any rosier or brighter tomorrow. CJ7, great show as usual. Thank you. Really, really appreciate your comments, guys. Good show, boys. Cheers, Dennis. Take care. We'll be back. Ryan, have a wonderful day off, sir. I'll speak to you soon, eh?
Cheers, guys.